Next up, we have our first fireside chat. So I'd like to welcome to the stage Robin O'Connell, the Chief Revenue Officer of Upload, and Kathy House, a professor at my alma mater, Howard University, School of Business of the School of Business Management Department. My apologies. You can have a seat here.
Here? Cool.
Good. Give them a round of applause.
All right. Hello.
Well, hello. Let me make sure I'm on here.
Is it on?
Okay, great.
There you go.
All right. Good morning. Glad to see everyone. Oh,
How's it going?
it's going great. It's good to be back on campus. Last year was a struggle after COVID, and everyone was a little stressed, trying to figure it all out. This year, there's a renewing of energy on campus. It's really revigorating from the faculty and the students. So I'm excited to be back.
Nice. Do you want to fire away with any questions? We're totally unprepared.
Oh, we're always prepared. Always prepared. Sometimes the most impromptu conversations are the best.
Yeah. You want me to tell you a little bit about Metaverse or Uphold, or?
From your perspective, I have a pretty good understanding.
Okay.
I'm one of those professors that teach outside the box.
Okay.
I'm an entrepreneur at nature. I've been here at Howard University teaching for 17 years.
Oh, wow.
I was brought on to bring entrepreneurship to the entire campus, even though I'm housed out of the School of Business by way of the Ewing Kauffman grant in 2003. So my intellectual knowledge as far as entrepreneurship on the college level is extensive. We were extremely on the same level as Babson, and Babson University basically was the trendsetter of entrepreneurship along with Howard back in 2003. So we partnered way back when. So with that thought process in mind, knowing that the metaverse was coming, I've already started preparing my students with the case analysis and so forth. So let's just jump in.
All right. All right. So am I interviewing you or are you interviewing me?
You know, however you want to go. I can go either way.
Well, yeah, I guess, what does the metaverse mean to you?
I look at it as the next level. You know, we live in a country and a world that constantly evolves whether we want to accept it or not. So you figure the internet was like, that was like a web 2.0.
Right.
And then the metaverse is web 3.0. So it's like an evolution of the next phase of the internet.
Yeah. I mean, for me, because that's a question, is like when, you know, there are a lot of buzzwords out there, right? Like metaverse, you know, DeFi, you know, what do all these things mean? And, you know, you've got metaverse from the perspective of, you know, you put on your goggles. I don't know if anyone's done this. I've done this, where you put on the goggles and you're actually experiencing, you know, a different world, and it's pretty crazy, right? Like you know, and the applications for it are kind of endless, especially from an educational standpoint, right? Like you can take somebody to somewhere, you know, across the world and really, you know, I guess we haven't done the smells yet, but you've got like a sight and a kind of a you know, and I guess not a feel, but you know, it's a 3D experience,
right? Which
is pretty crazy. I guess what I could offer today to tell you a little bit about, maybe this will spark some conversation from an entrepreneurship or business side, is you know, the work that we've done at Uphold with metaverses and what we're seeing as far as blockchain and crypto use within the metaverse. Is that okay if I just speak a little bit to that to spark conversation?
Go for it.
Okay, cool. So first of all, the company I'm with is called Uphold, UPHOLD. And we've been around since 2014, so pretty early. And basically what we have is we have a digital wallet, kind of like a Gemini. I know they spoke earlier. And you basically can go from anything to anything, so instantly. So you can go from money on your debit card to Bitcoin, or we even support, you could go into gold, and you go from Bitcoin to gold instantly. The idea is that money should be free and not trapped, and you should basically be able to go from anything to anything. And if you're an Uphold member, you can send money for free, anything to anything. That's what we do on the consumer side. My job is I run the enterprise side, which is kind of fun because we basically take all the pieces of our application, and then we go and we talk to anybody who's innovating and using crypto blockchain as a new level of innovation. And then what we do is we provide sort of those rails connecting traditional payments and your bank or whatever to DeFi and to this new world that we have. So as an example, we work with this company called IMVU. I don't know if anyone is familiar with IMVU, but IMVU is like a second life. And it is it's like an OG metaverse, right? So there's no goggles. You go online and you create your own avatar, and you literally live in this virtual world. And what's neat about it is that it's everything in the virtual world is created by people in the virtual world. So it's like a gig economy. They're literally people who make their living inside of the IMVU metaverse. And like an example that I was giving earlier is you could be in this metaverse, and you get word of that there's a really fun dance party or something happening on a Saturday night. Well, the people hosting the dance party are actually people in the metaverse. So it wasn't IMVU that came up with this idea. It's all happening organically. But the people who are hosting the dance party have to hire DJs. They have to hire bartenders. So it's really like it's another economy that's happening. You see it on your mobile phone. You see it on the web. And I think where metaverses are going is that you're going to have your goggles, and it won't even feel that sort of 2D, or 3D. It'll be completely almost like what we're experiencing now. What we do, though, and now back to where the innovation is happening, is before. This company's been around for 10 years, by the way. It's a huge company. They do $100 million in revenue. If you've ever read the book, The Lean Startup, have you heard of The Lean Startup? The guy who wrote The Lean Startup was the founder of IMVU. So he was actually writing about the starting IMVU. And so what they did is they're like, previously everything that was bought and interacted with in this economy was done with sort of an in-game token, which is kind of how it all works today, right? Like you go to any game, even any game you think of, there's an in-game token, and that's what they're using to, but it's trapped, right? It's all within a walled garden. And so their thought was, well, gosh, if we could make this in-game token something with real value that you could convert and put into your bank account and pay your bills with, because a lot of the innovation was happening with the people in the game themselves, and literally they were dealing with people like earning their in-game token and then trying to sell it like in a black market, on PayPal or something like that. And so they're like, well, if we had more control of this and actually, created more value. And I guess it's less control, right? Because now the person who's earning the token can leave and take that value outside. long story short, we're the rails to support that new token and to enable it to get converted. They can spend it on their debit card, or put it in their bank account, or send it to their own wallet that they have their own keys on. And so, I guess what I have to offer is just the economies that I'm seeing and the reason why these metaverses are connecting to blockchain and to DeFi. Did that make any sense, by the way? It's pretty early here. Okay, good.
How would you describe blockchain to the average person in layman terms? How would you describe that?
I describe it as just a pipe.
Okay.
It's just a way to, so I come from payments. I've been in payments for a really long time.
When you say payments?
Payments, I mean like Visa.
Okay.
Yeah, fintech
right.
payments, right?
Okay.
And, and if you swipe your card, right, anywhere in the world, there's data that's happening that's
right.
basically making sure your money's on the card, and those are pipes, information pipes. Now, the difference is that those information pipes which is pretty amazing. Like,
right.
It's amazing that you could be halfway across the world in milliseconds.
Right.
There's data that's passing across rails or pipes to determine whether you have money on that card or
right.
not. Yeah. And but the difference is that's all contained within databases of Visa, right? I guess I trust Visa. I don't know.
Well, Visa has definitely dominated
yeah.
the start
yeah.
of transactions taking place by way of pipelines or,
right.
or the databases.
Right.
I can't believe we're living in a world right now that cash has become frowned upon.
Yeah.
After the pandemic. It used to be what they say, cash is king. Now you say, do you take cash?
Yeah.
And that was not ever a question. Everyone
yeah.
always took cash. But now that has totally flipped. And you really get a look from retailers or
right.
even entrepreneurs at festivals if you would have paid by cash.
Yeah.
You kind of get frowned upon.
So to take that basically and to finish it out with Visa. So Visa's, the pipes, but it's all maintained within Visa, and not everyone has access to Visa.
Right.
Right. So the difference is with blockchain, the pipes are decentralized. So there's no one owner of the pipes.
Okay.
But the important piece is that, nobody's broken the Bitcoin blockchain. Nobody's figured out a way to basically break it down. And because no one's figured out a way to break it down, there's a trust element to it, right?
Absolutely.
And it frees people up to anybody can go get a Bitcoin wallet or really any crypto wallet for that matter. They can set it up, and if one person sets it up, in the U.S. and one person sets it up halfway across the world, there's a mechanism that people trust and that works that gets money from point A to point B. So it's basically a financial system that works and that's been created outside of the traditional financial system, which then opens up a whole crazy load of possibilities, right? And obviously, you can almost imagine if everybody in the world was like, hey, let's take a pause. This old financial system is just not working very well. Let's all just stop, let's take a break, and let's just move everything over to DeFi and to crypto. That could happen, right?
But do you think it will?
Well, not right away, no, I do not. But just the notion that it could go that way, and I do think it will go that way, and maybe not always across the board. And I don't think anything is binary. I think what we're seeing now, and the argument that I make, is that companies like us that are are centralized in a sense. But we're like a bridge between traditional finance and complete
Right.
DeFi, right? And so there's lots of talk about regulation and stuff, and we're kind of like we're in between.
Right.
We're fully regulated and whatnot,
Okay.
but it's important because everybody's money right now is regulated, right?
Right.
And to get money into this system to experience this innovation and to have the benefits of blockchain and DeFi, I think you need to start somewhere, right? You need to go. You need to have a connection.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense. So as it relates to, just to give you a little bit about my background, I teach in the School of Business and Management Department. I primarily, anything entrepreneurial basically I've taught, but this particular semester I'm teaching management of small business, entrepreneurship marketing, and management of organizational behavior. I see I have enrolled over approximately 153 students, primarily upperclassmen. How do you see small businesses participating in this Web.3 Metaverse system?
Yeah. Well, I think you know, in terms of payments, there's what's interesting is, you know, with Web3, and also I should ask you, like, what is your definition of Web3? Because I think just like Metaverse, people have very different definitions of Web3.
Right.
Well, I guess what is your definition
Well,
of Web3?
as stated before, I just believe it's the evolution of the internet. As you say, you know, if we look at the internet, and as I describe it with my students, literally there are businesses promoting through the social media platforms another form of, another avenue of doing business. So if you're not connected to the internet, it's like a virtual mall in that, and I have young adult children, so the bottom line is they know about promotions at various different stores and restaurants that I might not know about, but they are on social media, Instagram or whatever, and some businesses do heavy promotion through your Instagrams, Facebooks, or what have you. So you may see a line outside of a business and in passing that they did a promotion that you're not aware of because they did it on the internet. So there is like another version already operating online on the internet already.
Yeah.
I look at Web.3 Metaverse, another version of the internet and another world, basically
With its own economy, where you can also
so
participate,
it's like stage 3
Yeah.
of the internet, and a whole nother economy starting to form by way of this new version, the metaverse with the blockchains and so forth. So that's how I view it.
Yeah.
It appears to me, according to research, that the entertainment, the videos, the gaming industry will primarily be the leading industry to take advantage, because they've somewhat been doing it anyway with 2K sports and so forth. They've had the avatars with the NBA players and so forth.
Right.
The athletes have been making money by being a part of the games and so forth. So they're going to be leading, according to the research, this new, because they're already doing it now. It's just, we're just labeling it. So that's the way I view it.
And it's also because I think, you know, with Web3, the idea is that you own your own, it's distributed, right? Because, you know, in order to engage in Web3, you have your own DeFi wallet, which you own. So from a payments perspective, it's different, right? And I don't know if everyone's experienced it, but like, you know, you can see websites that have gone Web3 versus Web 2. So Web 2 is, like everyone's experience, you go to a site and you put in your card information and you pay for stuff and boom, that's Web 2. Web 3 is you get to the site and it's like, and it's tied to the browser, connect your wallet. and you just click a button. And actually, that's what gives me encouragement that things will go to Web3, because actually, when all is said and done, like, you just want an easy user experience. So if you just click the button, now your wallet that you control and that has your funds in it or whatever is speaking to the website, and that's all through technology.
Right.
And part of the thinking there is, not only is it your money, but then you have NFTs. Right. Okay? And then the NFTs are now a redistribution of whatever it is that you're taking part with on the web. So before, it's like, oh, I'm sharing my pictures of my family or whatever on Facebook. You know, Facebook owns that essentially, terms and conditions. But with NFTs, the idea is that now it's decentralized. You own what you're sharing on the internet, and you can then monetize that. So that's where I think the big, back to your question of what should people be thinking about, it's true, I think, that one of the big reasons why, you know, the music industry, you know, YouTube, et cetera, is paving the way is because they're sick of paying the big fees to the centralized groups like YouTube, right? And so they know that they're the valuable ones. They have the assets, and so a lot of what Web3 is about, I think, is decentralization and redistribution of value on the internet.
Okay, let's talk more about NFTs. Break it down.
Yeah.
Definition of NFTs are?
Definition of an NFT is just a digital stamp on whatever the asset is. So back to my friends at IMVU, they sell $10 million of digital goods in their little, you know, metaverse every month. People creating digital clothes, you know, digital assets, you know, just stuff in the world of the metaverse. And people find value in that, and they buy it, right? And but only this month are they coming out with taking those digital assets and actually making them NFTs. Why is that important? Well, because previously it's, hey, I spend a lot of time within IMVU. Look at all this cool stuff I've accumulated over time. It's valuable to me. It's probably valuable to somebody else, but there's no way of like trading that stuff. But now that it's an NFT, there's a digital certificate and it can travel on the blockchain. That's important because it means that now I can leave the walled garden of IMVU. I can put it on OpenSea, where there's many more millions of people who would come to potentially buy that. So again, it's about control. Does that make sense? So NFT is the, you know, immutable claim to something digitally online, and it's also the ability to have it travel on the blockchain, to free it up, to put it in your own wallet where you know you own it and no one can take it away from you, right? Otherwise, IMVU could go bankrupt and all that stuff that you earned is gone.
But this is only used on the metaverse, only used virtually. It cannot, the NFT cannot transfer back into reality.
Well, in the example I used, yes, but there's also this whole term. Have you ever heard of phygital?
Yes.
Yeah. So phygital is I mean, there's lots of cool applications. Like I was speaking to a gentleman on. Hopefully I can talk about this, but he didn't say not to. But I met a guy on Thursday night, and he has access to like a Michael Jackson song, right? And that's never been heard. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. And he's going to create an NFT for that and then distribute it, and so people can actually now. And it's pretty interesting because that's a real thing, right? That's not some made up digital thing, which to you and me sounds ridiculous, but to people in the metaverse who that's valuable. So things are valuable to different people for different reasons. But with the Michael Jackson song, maybe it's more tangible to everybody. Is you could now buy the a right to that song, okay, and experience the potential profits of that song. Experience. This was the interesting part. I was like, well, are you going to let everybody just download the song? Because then if it's once it's downloaded, everyone can get it. Because that's another part of NFTs, right? That's a little bit tricky. Is it's like, oh, I bought this thing. I have the claim to this beautiful piece of art. You're like, yeah, but if you share it with somebody, they could just take a picture of it, and then what's the difference? So then we got into interesting conversations like, well, maybe, you only then have the right to listen to it in a vault, right? So there is like a connection between, the metaverse, the real world. I don't sit here and purport I know how that's all going to shake out, but I think the notion that everything, it gets into the, now they're going to shut me up pretty soon. It gets into the Internet of Things. Everything, this chair, everything could have a little microchip on it, and the things that you own, you could put into a digital vault, and you think about the world in like a completely different way. So anyhow.
Okay. I mean, it's very interesting.
Yeah.
But there are the mistrust. Even, I've watched dialogue about all of this, purchasing real estate on the metaverse or whatever, and there's we're still definitely in the infancy of all of this as far as the industry is concerned. But the mistrust level of it possibly being a scam, how do you believe as we progress in the metaverse that gets that the public knowledge and comfort of minimizing the mistrust, the distrust of this, how do you believe that would be accomplished?
A good question. I mean, I think one of the things is when you talk about blockchain and you talk about NFTs, part of the thing is it's supposed to create more trust because you can actually verify it on the blockchain, right? You can go to, which is true, right? Like you can actually, because it's code, you can see that code, and frankly, therefore, it's more real. However, I think where we are today is that's more of just, it's that while that's true, there's not a lot of like support around that, or you can imagine that as these things grow, that there would be, you go and you say, hey, but that happened, that was on the blockchain. Like, who are you going to go to, right? So that's where when you talk to like full DeFiers, they don't like it if I say this, but there should be, everything that we have today is not broken. Come from, Web 2, today's world, that are needed in DeFi to achieve things like trust, beyond just it being on the, being able to point to and say, hey, look, there's that transaction. Who are you going to go to?
Right.
The police? Like, there needs to be some infrastructure that is built around that stuff. Right.
As we wrap up, what can we share with the audience that they can take away for, I think it's very important, especially for African Americans, to keep a pulse of this growing sector of the internet. What can we share with the audience that they can take away so they can be on the cutting edge of such a great invention?
Well, I've talked to a lot of folks here that basically are seem like I'm here learning too, right? Like so who are developing really cool stuff, and then I guess for people that are more just trying to understand it all, is really where the rubber meets the road is when you're going to start to see a lot of this stuff in more practical things that you're engaged in, right? And I don't think we're quite there yet. I think there's been too much on just, the speculative side of it. I spend my time on, the building of it and getting the practical applications, and those are the stuff that I'm excited about. And so I think just the basic understanding of what it is important, but then where it really is going to matter is when it starts to, you start to show up in everyday life and in what we're experiencing. And I think that's not yet clear, but that's what makes it kind of exciting.
Well, definitely like Web 0.2, Web 0.3 will intersect every industry. And I would like to say, how can you be a part of such a new invention and figuring out how you can monetize it? I'm a firm believer that we as African Americans need to bridge together how we become financially independent in everything we do, and then of course impacting our community as well. So this is definitely an area we need to continue doing research and figuring out how we can be a part of it.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much. Thank you for having me here. Yeah, I appreciate it.
My pleasure.